through, paint a picture of what society looks like in this agentic economy of the future, where we're headed, and what we can be excited for. I know there's a lot of fear as well, but there's so much optimism, and there's so much being built, and it's as if it was meant for this moment, right?
Yeah, so maybe I can just maybe do a quick survey here, maybe just a show of hands. How many people think they're going to have at least 1 to 3 AI agents in the next 3 to 5 years? All right, that's it, right? How about 10? How about 20? Okay, there we go. I mean, this is a power crowd, right?
It is.
Most of the times when I ask this question, it's like 3 to 5. It kind of stops there.
No hands.
I have 200 agents at the moment. I think I'll have 1,000, maybe in
200.
200. We can get into that later. However, the point is this, right? I think we all agree that there's going to be more agents than humans.
Yes.
So when you do the math, we're going to be somewhere between 30, 50, or 100, maybe 200 billion agents, compared to, you know, capping out at 8 or 9 billion humans, right? So that's kind of the ratio to think about. And then you have to ask the question, where do they live?
Right.
What do they do? How do they exist, right? And that's actually where it becomes really fascinating. Because right now, everything is in the centralized infrastructure, you're depending on Facebook, on Amazon, on Google. But actually, when you have autonomous AI agents that have their own wallets, that can exist decentralized, you talked earlier about sort of the meaning behind it. So for those of you who remember in 2017, when CryptoKitties first launched.
CryptoKitties, haven't heard that in a while.
Going back in time, for a few $1 million of sales, Ethereum melted.
Yep.
It did not work. It could not transact on the blockchain at all, right? And so that's when they started talking about sharding. We need to have scaling solutions, L2s, all that kind of stuff, right? And today, we now can transact trillions of dollars without a problem, basically, on-chain. However, the ownership of people in crypto is now about 700 to 800 million. That's a big number, right? That's basically, in terms of the online world, it's almost more than, it's like 20%. However, the people who are on-chain, about 70 million. So it hasn't grown. It hasn't really grown. And that's because it's difficult. We still haven't matured from MetaMask. We're still having difficulties with, basically crypto. It's scary for people. My mom will never buy crypto on MetaMask, right? But through an AI agent, she could.
Absolutely, that's like her trust layer.
Exactly. And so what we started to realize is that actually everything that's happened on blockchain for the last 7 or 8 years has really been the foundation for this agentic world that's coming. And that we as humans were really the POC. We're basically the let's call it test case for agents to come. And now when you take a look at where the world is going, everyone basically is talking about AI agents. The stuff they could do before, that intelligence really flipped around December, maybe November last year, where really that power came about, and that's why OpenClaw and so on was able to accelerate. We're now sort of saying that agents are going to transact with each other all the time. Things like digital identity is going to be much more important for an agent than a human.
Right.
And actually, blockchain is effectively the bank of an AI, because you can't have a bank account with an AI agent.
It's like blockchain was made for this.
Exactly. So exactly,
Yeah.
and it's machine finance. And sort of, maybe the final thing I'll say to this is that we're entering an era where we're now moving into a kind of agentic civilization in the early days, right? And for finance, the ancient Sumerians invented writing because of finance. They had to prove who owns what, right? And so from that, society advanced through finance, through the advancements of money and trade, eventually coming to a point where we had paper money and then digital money. And now this digital money is advancing to this next era that basically agents can transact on, right? So that's kind of where that's where it's going.
Yeah, it's a really interesting future that we're at a crossroad now where we're building this infrastructure. Because the question is then, too, what's the first thing that breaks when all of these AI agents come on chain and they start transacting and there's billions of agents, right?
Well, and the thing is that maybe the other question I would ask people here as well is, when was the last time you clicked through to a website when you went searching something in Google? So a year ago, or maybe a year and a half ago, you would actually click through to the website, take a look at the content. Today, Gemini gives you the summary, and that's probably good enough for 80 or 90%.
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
And the statistics show it. Website traffic on a lot of websites is down by 80%. Right? So what does that mean?
That's massive.
Right? That's massive, right? So the way that you discover a website is no longer the same. Being sort of SEO enabled is not important because you don't click through anymore. It doesn't matter.
AI decides.
Exactly, AI decides, right? So that's the first step, right? You go to ChatGPT, it gives you a summary, or Perplexity gives you links. How many times do you click through to the link? You're basically just reading the summary. It's good enough for you. You trust that the AI is telling you the good stuff. The second evolution will be you're no longer going to the actual website. The AI agent is just going to be emailing you or sending it to you on Telegram or on WhatsApp, the summary, and it's going to collect data everywhere. So how do these content providers make money? They're not going to make money from advertising, but that doesn't exist. So they're going to have to make money from charging transactions, whether it's through an MCP server, API, CLI, it doesn't really matter, right? But then can they charge what they used to charge? They're going to have to charge literally maybe less than a cent for every transaction. And so before we start thinking that this is sort of taking a new kind of economy, really our view is that it's just shifting what's already there, which is advertising. So advertising today, digital advertising last year was about $800-something billion.
Wow.
And is projected to be over $900 billion this year. Now, advertising is completely transactional. The only difference about the transaction is that it's your time and your attention. You're trading your time, your data, and then on the back, someone else is paying for it. But the reality, it's still a transaction. That transactional value, we believe, is going to flow directly to agents, where you're no longer charging advertising this way for that attention. The agent is just going to say, hey, I'm going to get a little bit of content from the New York Times, from this paper, from this blog, and for my $20 or $50 a month, a fraction of that is going to basically be sort of going into these content providers, right? So that's how we see that. It's still going to be trillions of dollars, except that the way that we look at advertising is going to be completely changed, and the way we trade attention is going to be changed as well, right? So it's actually just shifting value where it is. But that also means that you don't need an app store anymore, right? So for instance, the other day, I had my I had my AI agent basically write a piece of I would have just was making you probably know Wordle, right? It's a cute little game on New York Times, but it kind of gets boring because it's always the same. So I basically asked, hey, I told my AI agent just make a Wordle game that's maybe 7 letters long, right? That's it, right? And maybe based on science or something. 5 minutes. It just constructed it. It just launched it. Put a website. We had a game. That game might be just for me. I could share it. Doesn't matter. But the point is that it created custom content right at that moment in time. So you don't need software applications anymore because every application will be written for you in real time, right?
In real time, that includes all different aspects.
Everything.
Trading, I mean, even the indicators that we coded for trading
That's
that
right.
would have taken developers weeks and months are done in seconds.
So the limitation that we have is not that the agent can do it. It's that we don't believe we can do it. So 20 or 30 years ago, being a photographer was a special profession that only a small percentage of the world could do. Then came Instagram and the smartphone, and everyone is a photographer. Whether they're good or bad, doesn't matter. The point is everyone became a photographer, right? And remember how people used to, you could only be a movie actor if you're in Hollywood and you had a certain skill?
Yep.
Now everyone's an actor or, a YouTuber or influencer. I mean, that category only existed because they amateurized that, right? And now what AI agents are doing is that everyone's becoming a programmer. Right? You can code anything. That skill or that thinking of being able to write code, the AI agent can do it better and better and better, which means the only thing that's limiting you is your imagination in terms of what you want to do.
I love that because all of the fear for this new technology, it happens always. It's demonized when it's new and it's feared, but really it's going to allow us to